We wish you all the best for the future. Tēnā koe.
Tēnā koe. Marama Fox.
Kua tata ki te wā mutunga mau. Nā reira, kaipirangi matau o te Pāti Māori, te mihi atu ki a koe I roti o mahi. Tēnā koe Chester Burrows. Kia ora. Well, I'm going to dismiss with all the mihi, but suffice to say I tautoko everything that everyone said, because I've done some figures. In the bill it says, the bill comprehensively settles the historical treaty claims of Ngāi Tai ki Tāmaki resulting from acts or omissions by the Crown before 21st September 1992. So I added up all the little bits of land that, just, on the back of my post-it, that it acknowledges in this bill that you've lost. And I've come to a figure of about 152,560 acres of land from Tāmaki Makaurau, roundabout. And I checked it with the minister. He said I was in about the right area. So then I thought, okay, how much does it cost to buy a house in Tāmaki Makaurau nowadays? Apparently, by news, it costs about $1 million on average. And if we think that might be on a quarter-acre section, and it's not, it's on a slither of land squashed up between two other houses, but let's be generous. Let's be generous and pretend it's on a quarter-acre section. If we extrapolate that out, that's a flash new word I learnt by being in Parliament, by the way. If we multiply that out over the 152,000 acres that you have lost, my figure comes to $610 billion. Billion dollars on today's terms. Let's not even add in loss of earnings throughout the last 175 years. Let's not go there. Let's not be so harsh as to add in loss of waterways, or let's not even go so far as to talk about the decimation of your people and your language and your cultural archives through oral traditions. Because if I read this properly, what has happened is that not only did you lose the land, that your people were scattered across the four corners of the area, that in the last census, I think it was something like 400 people, was I right? Claimed to be of Ngāi Tai ki Tāmaki. Did I read that right? 498, 500 members. Now, who knows? Who knows whether they're from Ngāi Tai ki Tāmaki if your people have been decimated and left landless? I know in Wairarapa, when we lost our language, we lost our history completely. We had the good grace of our tupuna to record our history in 120 volumes of manuscript that we couldn't read because we had no reo. And the people who came to Wairarapa from Ngāti Porou, from Tūhoe, from Ngāpuhi, who were married into the area, who came to settle in Wairarapa, who taught in our own kōhanga reo, they didn't know our stories, and we love them because they brought reo back to us so that we could find our stories. But when we grew up in Aotearoa, we didn't know whether we were rangitane or kahungunu for so long. In fact, I thought we're pretty much just kahungunu, just going to say that right now since they're all in the whare. But my uncle tells me I can't split myself in half. I have a leg in each waka. That sounded not quite the way it was intended. But here's the point. We had no idea about our ancestors. Not until I went to kōhanga reo, having had the most amazing Pākehā education people pay good money for, just by accident, but ended up in Christchurch Girls High. People move into that area to get that education, but not until I went to kōhanga reo and learnt te reo Māori did I find out that I didn't come from Tiwit. I came from Te Whiti, and that didn't mean I was from Taranaki. It was Te Whiti o Tūtāwake. And who was that? A man who crossed the river to save his sister, Taura Harakeke. and bring her back to good mental health, because she took herself to kill herself in the bush, and keep her safe. And instead of him, he whakatūtāne no tūtawake he toa, the making of a man. If you want to be the man, you need to be like tūtawake, the warrior, who knew how to look after his family. Now, I didn't know that until I was well into my 30s last year. But I can imagine what it is like for the 500 people who have found themselves and connected their whakapapa back to your whānau Ngāi Tai ki Tāmaki. I can imagine exactly what that feels like, to have your language and your culture and your whenua ripped away, and to come to this point and settle for $12.7 million when you should have got $610 billion. Can we just put that on the record? I'm mihi to you. Because again, we see another iwi come to this house and accept a pittance for the decimation of their people. And you know, never mind the land. We lost the land. But it says, without land, without whenua, Meka says it to me all the time. Can't have tangata whenua without whenua. That's in regards to another thing we argue about, but anyway. A pittance. We turn around from being the people of protest and we become the people of progress, and we put it behind us, and we stand up in front of all the naysayers who look at our people and see us as a deficit, and we turn around and say, we rise, we thrive, we strive, and we're still here. And you're still here. Ngāi Tai ki Tāmaki, man, it must be tough. I drive up there through that city all the time now. I've never been to Tāmaki Makaurau so often except for the last 3 years. Drive past those flash houses. One of my nannies was with me one time. She goes, is this what they call rich people state housing? Well, they all have a flash house, live on top of each other and all look the same. I congratulate you for coming to this point, for taking the courage to say, well, enough is enough. But we have to move on. We document our history for our tamariki mokapuna, so that they will never be lost as we were lost, so that they will never have to search as we have had to search, so that they will have their future that they can lay out for their babies and make the decisions now that will affect our grandchildren's grandchildren. We don't do this for ourselves. We do this for them. And lastly, I want to acknowledge all of those of your ancestors who have passed on, some of which may never have known that they were from Ngāi Tai ki Tāmaki, because with the decimation of culture and whenua comes language, and the decimation of that is the loss of whakapapa. Because if we don't know it, how can we claim it? In the story I told about tūtawake, there's another little whakatauki that says, don't correct my reo after this, that says, ka taia te wāwāhi te taura harakeke, engari te taura whakapapa, te taura tangata ka tūmua ke tonu atu. The taura tangata is the whakapapa that binds us no matter what. And when we search out our ancestors, we are connected for time and all eternity. And we're bound to our whenua, we're bound to each other, and we're bound to make decisions together collectively for the betterment of all our people. And so I'm mihi to you, tēnā koutou, kia ora mai tātou katoa.
Meka Whaitiri.
I te manga i te whare, tēnā koe. O tira, ngā memo te whare.